Hi students, this lesson is very important if you're going to use the input function. You need to understand something very important. When we use input function, we are asking the user to add some information. This information, if I assign it to a variable, the data of the type in this case will be string. Remember this very well. The data type of any input function, it's string. Very important to remember that. Why string? Because the user enter this information using a keyboard, so that's why it's string. Someone will tell me, if the user enter a number, in this case the data type will be number or integer or float? No, it's still string. Since the user enter the input using the keyboard, Python consider right away that this input is string and not integer or float. And this is very important in this case that I am going to explain it to you. Let's say I am asking the user to add or to put his score. So let's say I'm gonna write score, and score here it's a variable, and I'm asking the user a question using input instead of print. What is your score? So the user will see what is your score. Let's say the user will answer, let's say 400. So that means right away Python assign this 400 to whom? To the variable called score. Let's say I'm gonna create something called extra, and I'm gonna ask the user how many points you want to add to your score. So how many points you want to add. And as soon as the user will get this question, let's say the user will say, I want to add 10. So that means 10, it's assigned to extra. The problem that we think, if we add print and I want to say the total, if I want to create the total of your score is, and let's say I put this into quotation, comma, and I want to add extra plus score, let's say. So I'm going to say score plus extra and close the bracket. I'm thinking with this way, Python will take the 400 and add it to 10 and return for me 410. Unfortunately, Python will give me error message. Why Python will give me error message? Why? The answer is so simple. The answer is so simple because we said that the data type that we gather from the users using the function input, it's not an integer, it's a type as a string. So the 400, we know that this is a number, but because we got it from the input, it came as a string type. And the 10, even if it's number, it is a string data. In this case, I cannot combine string plus string to get the total. Impossible. So in this case, to add this, I have to find a way to transfer the 400 from string to integer, and the data type here, the string type here, to transfer it from string to integer. So in this case, I need to add small lines here or small trick here to make Python understand that I want to get this answer as integer and not as string. So there is two ways. There is a long way, there is a short way. So I'm going to show you both of them using Python. So I'm going to open now Python. I'm going to open the idle, and after that I'm going to ask to open a new file, let's say, and I'm going to call this file save as, and let's say I'm going to add new code, let's say, and I'm going to leave new code under desktop so I can find it at any time I want, and I save it. So I'm going to type here print, and not print, I'm going to type score, equal, I'm going to add the input of what I'm going to get from the user to score by asking what is your score. So that means the answer is going to be assigned to variable score, but don't forget it's going to be as a string. So if I type the second one extra, and I'm going to call this new variable extra, and I'm going to repeat again another question, input how many points you need to add. Right away the user will give me another number. I'm going to put it in extra, but don't forget it's still string. So what is the thing that I need to do? I need to transfer score to integer. So this is a long method. I can say score equal, I'm going to give score another thing, that int of score. That means what? That means Python, when it will get the score from here, we said Python read from right to left, not from left to right, right to left. So it's gonna take the score that I did it, and it was with a data type string, it's gonna be forced to be integer now and assign it to score. So new score now, it's gonna be as integer and not as string. The same thing for extra. I'm gonna say extra, get the new type by forcing extra that it was string to be integer. So again, Python will look from right to left. So Python will take extra already string type. It will be forced to be integer, and after that goes to a new extra. So the new score and the new extra now, they can be integer. And actually I can say total, I can create something called total, and I take the score, the value in score, add it to the value of extra. Now I have a total. It's easy to say print. Now I want to give the information to the user. The total of your score is double quote, comma, I can write total and close the bracket. Now if I save this and run it, it's gonna ask me what is your score. If I'm gonna say 550, how many points you need to add? Let's say I need to add 50 to make it 600. The total of your score is 600 right away. Why? Because I forced the 550 that it's string, because when I enter with the keyboard it becomes as a string. I force it to be as integer, and I force the second one to be integer. Now I can add it together, but if I don't do these two lines, it will not give me the same thing. There is another method. Instead of saying score equal int score, I can put here int, force it, and put the whole thing inside the brackets to save this line. So I can remove this line. And the same thing for extra, I can force it from the beginning to be int instead of using this line. And this thing, we make it like shorter like that. We save some lines. So now if I run it, it should work with the same way. What is your score? I'm gonna say 320. How many you need to add? I'm gonna add 80. It will give me 400. The same thing, but I saved one line. So this is the input. Whatever inside the large bracket, it's string. All of that, the result is string type, but I force it to be integer so I can add score to extra and get the total. So I needed to understand this very well, that anything, any answer, we get it from the user through the function input, it's like a string. When you want to add this, it's not gonna work. Actually, if you type this one without forcing the score and the extra to be integers, you will get a strange answer. You will get 40010. You're gonna say, from where Python got this? Actually, Python add or concatenate, we can say, concatenate or combine the two string together with this way. First string and the second string. So, which is wrong. And you're gonna be surprised, how 400 plus 10 equal 40,010? Because unfortunately, Python took this as a string, concatenated with the second string, and give you this answer, which is wrong. So be careful 100% when you are using or when you are dealing with input function. Remember this very well, that the answer that you're gonna get from the user, it's with string type and not integer type, even if the answer of the user is number. Thank you for your attention.